Guys, take two, guys, take two. This is a absolute stinker unhooked on the last stream, guys. Apologies. From that was on me, guys. My stream just started bugging and you guys couldn't hear Barça Boy, so we had to completely redo the stream once again. But I'm sure this time these guys can hear you guys. Hafed, can you say something so that let's see if the panel can hear, the chat can hear you?
Yeah. Very happy to be a Barca fan. 3 trebles, not 3 trebles, 3 trophies.
You should be fine. Yeah, keep going.
Domestic treble. Yeah, super happy.
All right. Well, listen. Yeah, we were kind of we did lose our train of thought because of the whole situation. I think what you were basically saying before we ended the last stream was I was talking about how in the start of the season, right, we weren't really optimistic. We felt like the team needed some changes, right? The squad was, this was the same squad that went trophyless last season, didn't really compete in all fronts in any competition, right? You saw what Xavi was saying about the squad before he basically left, and some of us, we kind of echoed what he was saying. So, and then when we came into the transfer window, we've been linked to certain players. We ended up only signing one player when we kind of needed like fullbacks. We needed maybe a defender, a midfielder. Some of us said we did needed a striker. Some were saying we needed a new keeper, right? And also, not to mention the fact that we had crazy amounts of injuries. Like, bro, our whole squad was basically out in the start of the season. It wasn't looking good. Imagine someone telling you around that time, Hafed, right, that in May 16th, we would be sitting here talking about a domestic treble and being 90 seconds away from a Champions League final. Like, tell the chat, right, the people who are watching, like, your experience, because I've said this during the previous stream, right? It's been a long time for me since I've actually felt like this, right? Where I actually felt, you know what? We're actually one of the best, right? We actually one of the best. We can, on our day, this team, this squad, these players, we can beat anyone. You understand what I'm saying, right? I haven't felt this feeling for a very, very long time. And, you were saying that for you, it was much longer. I said 2019. You said a little bit before that, right? And basically, you were just talking about, Hansi Flick's impact and how incredible he's been. So, just continue from where you stop.
Yeah, expectation-wise, we came to the season. I said win at least a trophy, get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I'll consider that, decent. That was kind of the objective coming in, and we smashed all of them with flying colors. I mean, yes, Hansi Flick has rocked our world, but after Laporta came in and made all these big moves to sign players that we needed, he's brought the team chemistry back. He's brought the fact that we are relying on a team, on a unit, not on one player. Although Lamine Yamal and Depensia couldn't definitely make the argument on their end, but we're just finally performing as a team. Back in the day, from 2017 to 2020, it was just Messi carrying the club. That's why I said that I think 2014-15 was the last time I kind of felt this way, being on top of the world, even though we don't have the Champions League. Hopefully next season that can change. But yeah, it's a fantastic feeling. And of course, winning 4 out of 4 Clásicos. Never have I seen Barcelona win all Clásicos in a season before, I don't think. It's a very distant time, because even when we had MSN, we didn't win every Clásico. They beat us 2-1 at the Camp Nou. Other one was 1-1, and then we won. So yeah, we didn't win all of them. Like, we drew 1-1 once we were undefeated. And we come into this season 4 out of 4. That is, I think, the biggest accomplishment that's being ignored. Winning 4 Clásicos out of 4 in 3 big moments out of the 4 against a Super Galactico team that won a treble last season. They were all making fun of us last season, but new era, this and that. And we just came and we absolutely dunked on their head tops.
100%. Like, bro, you literally echoed the words out of my mouth. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen us, like, we've seen Madrid be poor. I mean, the last few years when we've actually beaten them a few times in one season. I think the last time we actually did that, was it in 2018, 2019? Because I swear we played them in 2018. We beat them 4 times that season, because we beat them in
2019.
Because if you remember, that was Ronaldo's first season after he left. They were having Lopetegui, Solari. I think we beat them.
Yeah, that was the season where we had Anfield. So we beat them. Yeah, you're actually right. I think we beat them 3 times that season. We beat them at home 5-1. and then we beat them. Actually, no, we had, so yes, you're correct. There were 4 Clásicos that year, but we won 3 and drew 1. We drew 1-1 at the Camp Nou, first leg of the Copa del Rey when Malcolm scored. That was a 1-1 draw. So that's maybe the closest we've got to it. So that we had 2 Copa del Rey games, 2 La Ligas, but this one is a Spanish Super Cup final, a Copa del Rey final, a La Liga title decider.
And that's what I think is special about this one.
Yeah,
that's what I think really for me emphasizes, because
that one's kind of remembered. Sorry to interrupt you. That one's kind of remembered for winning at the Bernabeu twice in the space of 4 days, keeping a clean sheet. So that's what I remember most about that. I think we played on Sunday and then Wednesday. We won 1-0 in La Liga, Rakitic goal, and then we beat them 3-0 in the cup. Suarez brace, and I think a Varane own goal. So that's what I remember that week of the Bernabeu. You're thinking, win 1, draw 1. We can make history. We've gone there, beat them twice, and didn't concede a goal as well. That was back when Ter Stegen could actually make a couple saves. But that's why I remember that one the most.
I mean, you just mentioned it. Like, that was probably the first. And this is the thing. Around that time, we can kind of look at it and say, well, that Real Madrid team, bro, they were poor that season in all competitions. I mean, Madrid fans want to use that same excuse, but the reason why for me the excuse doesn't apply is because they lost basically their best player in the summer that year. Ronaldo was there. He was the guy, and he left. So no matter what happened, it's like when we lost Messi. We knew as Barca fans that season was gonna be a struggle. You understand what I'm saying, right? So you can't excuse that. This time around, you can't even say that. You had the same team that won you guys at basically a treble last season, and then you've just added Mbappe to that treble winning team.
But if you look at the season, we lost Messi. The Clásico we lost.
Well, we beat them.
Yeah, so we lost the first one 2-1. We scored at last second. They scored in the last second, so did we. So it's kind of let's say a 1 goal difference game. Then we beat them 4-0 on their ground. So when we've been at our worst, they've beaten us in Clásicos, but they've all been very close type margins, 2-1s, 3-1s, 1-0s. They can never batter us. But then when we're at our best and they're their weakest, we show them who's daddy. We absolutely clap them. So we do it the right way, and they just can't hack it.
Yeah.
Like I've seen us score more than 3 goals against Madrid multiple times. Too much to count. In my lifetime, they beat us. They scored more than 4 goals twice. 4-0 at the Camp Nou in the Copa del Rey under Xavi, and then 4-1 this season after that in the Super Cup. Those are the only 2 times they scored more than 4 goals, 4 or more in my lifetime. So to say that I've seen way more. And of course, the 4-0, the Cup one, that was a Cup game. We had to go for it. That's why we were a bit more open. Super Cup fairs.
And we were focusing on the league at that season. Let's be real.
Yeah,
remember we were actually trying to scrap the Copa del Rey, because even when we went to the first leg,
we were trying to go for the domestic treble like we did this season. We were trying to do the same thing there. We almost did it. I don't know which game came first, the Franck Kessié game or that 4-0. That's a good question.
The Franck Kessié came. I think the Franck Kessié came after we lost.
That's a good question. Someone can tell us in the chat. That's actually a good question. I think if I was to guess, it would be the 4-0 first. Remember that game too? We had some injuries. We were missing some. Actually, you know what? I think the 4-0 was actually second. That'd be my guess, because I think we're going into that game. We had a bit of injuries. We were, I think, 1-0 up from the first leg as well, so we had a bit of an advantage. I think Franck Kessié scored in that game as well. So, that was kind of that season as well. We had, I think, 5 Clásicos. We had 2 in the Cup, 2 in the league. We had the Super Cup final, so we had 5 Clásicos that year. I think we what was it?
I think we won 3 out of the 2, or we won 4.
Yeah, I think it was 3 wins, 2 losses. We lost in the first league game after we got knocked out in the group stages of the Champions League. And then we lost 4-0. So that was 5. We won 3, they won 2. So this is why I think this 4-4 cannot be ignored. You have to emphasize it.
We have never, I think last season was the closest thing to a sweep that we've ever been actually.
We lost all 3 Clásicos last season. But look at those 3 losses, right? One time they beat us fair and square. The other 2 last second Jude Bellingham goals. They weren't on top. We competed with one of our. I wouldn't say that was our worst team, but we were very underperforming.
Yep, the 2-1 and then the
3-2.
3-2. And the 3-2, let's be real, right? That game was an absolute disgrace. Yamal's goal should have counted.
I thought that was the best. That was the best we played. We of course just got knocked out of PG as well. I think we
We
responded pretty well. Just the result didn't go our way, unfortunately. Look at the goals we conceded. A penalty that wasn't a penalty by Kubarsi. Cancelo back post got done twice. I think for Vasquez and for the Bell. We were up 2-1 as well. That was the only time this season that we were our second time that we were winning a Clasico versus the Montjuic when we were up 1-0 with Gundogan.
Yeah,
and they scored twice.
Bellingham.
Look at that one as well. Ter Stegen kind of fucked us on both goals. Even look at the Clasico one as well. If Chavis, if he didn't play that stupid high line, could have been a bit different. But anyways, I'm not gonna.
I mean, listen. No, but this is the thing. Yeah, you just mentioned. I feel like what is special about this 4 wins is the fact that Madrid can't even say, well, we basically messed it up of us because we were competitive last season when we lost. We fought to the end in every single Clasico we played. You guys can't say the same. The only game where I felt like maybe you guys fought to the end was the Copa del Rey final, because the first game we absolutely swept you 4-0 in your background. And also, speaking of that 4-0, you just mentioned it, Hafed. In the last 10 years alone, we've gone to the Bernabeu and won 4-0 3 times. 3 times.
Fuck
3
yeah, 3 times.
20, I remember every one.
I remember 3. Yeah.
2014, MSN 2015-16. Last year, Xavi's first Clasico, and Hansi Flick's first Clasico. So yeah, this is the thing, bro. Like, and not to mention the fact that we've given them 5-1s twice. I've seen us score 5-1. Bro, if I'm gonna be real, right?
We battered them more.
Yes, that's what. The funny thing is, I think that in my lifetime, the only times I've ever seen us get battered by Madrid is probably recently when we lost 4-1. And maybe the 4-0 when we lost 4-0.
Didn't even feel that bad. Like I mentioned, it was a cup game. We were going for it. I think Roberto missed a few chances. They scored just before halftime. After that, we had to go for it. That's why we were a bit more open. The 4-1 kind of felt a bit helpless there, but we got the consolation goals. That's only a 3-goal difference, so it's not too bad. The 4-1, I think, was definitely worse than the 4-0, but the 4-0 didn't feel that bad. It felt more bad that we were out of the cup than we couldn't win the domestic treble. But give me your thoughts. I'm going to be back in like 3 seconds. Give me, I answered the door real quick.
By all means. But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, Real Madrid, what we did to Real Madrid this season is going to scar them. Because just deep this, right? Not only did we do the sweep on them, you had 4 opportunities to beat us this season. 4. You can't even say, well, if we had played them again. No, you had 4. We played you in the Copa del Rey final, the Spanish Super Cup final, and twice in the league. And in every single occasion, you lost. And 2 of those, we battered you. Battered. Not just a simple, we just beat them all. It was a close. No, we gave you a beat down in 2 out of the 4 times we beat you this season. You understand what I'm saying? And even when you guys were at your best, when you guys were playing well in the Copa del Rey final, where, for me, I felt like Ancelotti actually set up well. It just shows you that this season we were just better than them, Hafed. We were just better because they played well in the last 2 Clásicos and we still won. You understand what I'm saying? And that is the point. And what is special is that at the end of the day, the reason why this one is going to hurt more than anyone else is because, bro, we won a domestic treble and you contributed to every single trophy we won. We beat you guys for the first one. We beat you guys for the second one. And we basically beat you guys to confirm the third one. Because beating you in the weekend is what gave us the win yesterday. So you literally handed us. This is what I mean. This is going to hurt. This is going to hurt them for a very long time. Because they might never have an opportunity like this to ever do this to us. You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. And look. At the end of the day, man, I'm over the moon. Obviously, there are still things in this team, that need fixing. We all know that. But man, I cannot. There is no amount of praise I can give this manager. Like I've said it before. My criticism of Hansi Flick is not. I've never, and I never will be until there's drastic changes get to a point where I want this manager gone. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because this manager, he exceeded my expectations. When I sit there and I call things out, it's because I want my team to compete. But my team is competing. And are we perfect? No. But at the end of the day, this guy is he's incredible. Like it hurts me a little bit because, bro, imagine if he had gone to that final of the Champions League and we would have probably won a quadruple. He could have basically put himself in the conversation as one of the greatest managers of all time. Because think about what this brother has done. Forget about what he's doing at Barça. This is not the first time he's done this. He walked into Bayern Munich and won them the treble with the minute he walked in there.
Yeah.
Like, this is my point. People, you hear, we see what happens. Like, you listen, you see in your, because you're on YouTube, you see what Arsenal fans say with Arteta, right? Or give him time. He needs his players. This and this and I said this to my friend. I said, you see Hansi Flick, bro. He literally proves that this whole trust the process and give manager time is BS. If you have a top class manager, they work with what they have.
But on the flip side, you could say that the team was already well made. We kind of underperformed last season. Maybe the team style fit Flick's system more than it did Xavi's. I think where I do, of course, definitely agree with you that Flick had a huge impact. I don't think you could say that, for other comparisons, like you might with Arteta, for example. Because remember, when he was doing his interviews with Deco and Laporta, he said that, yes, with this team, I can definitely cook. He saw the talent in this team. He saw that they will be able to play the way he wants to play. And again, our underperforming factor last season, I think, is also a big indication as well. I think we underperformed so badly last season. We had so many individual mistakes. That's why I was Xavi in. I never would have sacked Xavi. Again, whether Xavi would have done the same thing that he did this season, that Flick, that remains to be seen. But I was very much, in favor of Xavi, not only because I liked his philosophy, but of the fact that he's a club legend, obviously, and I'm not going to shy away from that. But also for the fact that the players underperformed like hell. Individual mistakes left, right, and center that were costing us game. We weren't losing the games tactically and stuff like that. Yes, Xavi's tactics could have been a bit more proactive. They're a bit conservative. We didn't win games by more than one goal for forever that season. I remember going from October after we beat Betis and Antwerp 5-0 back-to-back. We didn't win a game by more than one goal until March or something like that. So I understand why the club made the choice, and I don't really, hold a grudge. Maybe the way they treated Xavi should have been a bit better, but the players underperforming last season compared to this season where they kind of performed at their level, I feel like was also, I think, a big factor in us, performing at a good level.
Oh, and that is 100% true. I mean, this is why I give him so much credit, because he's been able to work what he has. And let's be honest, right? We still know that even despite everything he says about this team, right, there's still a lot of things that need to be improved upon in the summer. That is true, right? There is positions that I still think that we need to work on. But relatively, when you look at how this season has gone, with everything that we've achieved, we would have just been happy to just win the league. That's the thing. We would have been happy. We were like, listen, we're not the league, Copa del Rey, don't matter, Champions League, maybe next season. You understand what I'm saying, right? Maybe we'll compete next season. But the fact that this man with this team, just these players, was able to compete all the way to the end of the season, man, all the credit to the world to him. And listen, we're going to get into it because the contract, Fabrizio Romano, he was basically tweeting it, right? It seems that basically everything looks basically on, right? And he is going to be extending till 2027. That's what I've seen, right? Hafed, what do you think about this contract signing? Are you happy that they're basically, trusting this manager and giving more time and basically, I mean, 2027 is not that long. It's like 2 more years. You understand what I'm saying, right? But what do you think about, do you think it was more of a raise? They're just giving him a raise? Maybe that's what the contract is about?
Probably, and of course to extend him so the next year he doesn't go into the final year of his contract. He's going to go on a year-to-year basis. That's what he wants to do, and the club have obliged with that. So every season he'll assess it. Will next season be my last season? Yes, no, or will I leave this summer? That's going to be a good question. Will he stay until 2027? I don't know. We'll see what happens this upcoming season. He's 100% going to be the coach next season. Then after that, we'll see. Just like Luis Enrique and Pep, everyone's time comes where they want to, leave Barca because the demand is so high and stuff like that. And it's always better to leave on a high to be remembered than to leave on a low. That's kind of why I hope maybe Szczesny can leave this summer as well. But he wants to go year to year. The club have complied with it. They'll probably, of course, give him a bit more money as well for what he's done this season. But mainly, of course, they don't want next season to be his final year where in June he'll be for free, where other clubs can talk to him. And, of course, the media from January until the end will be asking him, you got to stay, you got to stay, you got to stay. They're kind of already doing that now, even though he has 2 years left on his deal. But, yeah, very happy about it. And hopefully he cooks better next season than he did this season.
I mean, bro. Look, at the end of the day, let's be real, right? He's really raised the bar very high, hasn't he? He's raised the bar high for himself now, because he's won domestic treble. And the only way he can do better next season is if he wins the actual treble, right? Where he can actually do the league.
I disagree. I think all he really needs next season to like have it better than this season would probably just win the Champions League.
Just win the Champions League
Just
alone.
win the
I
Champions.
mean,
Really,
I'll be honest. I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
personally, for me, I'm not
If he-
like here.
if he does like
wanna
a
compete.
if he
Yeah,
does like
go
a double or does a domestic treble again, sure. If he wins one trophy, but that one trophy being the league, I think it wouldn't be, of course, better than this season, but we'll still call it like a success depending on how we do in the Champions League. The two cups are always just icing on the cake bonuses. I think just winning those alone, especially the Super
Mhm.
Cup. The Super Cup, I feel like if you win the Super Cup, you win something else, whether it be the Copa, La Liga, Champions League. The Super Cup is that thing that gives you that extra motivation. That's why I think it's honestly low key. Probably, I would say the second most impactful trophy of the season. Because La Liga, Champions League, it's all decided at the end, alongside the Copa del Rey. That Super Cup gives you a bit of that winning feeling middle of the season, especially when most likely you're going to face Real Madrid at some point, whether it be semifinal or the most probably the final. I think it's as important. I think it's the reason why we went on and had this great run, not losing a game in the league or domestically in 2025. The two losses of this season have come. Dortmund second leg was kind of a dead rubber, then of course Inter second leg. So,
bro, that's another thing we forgot to mention, isn't it? Ever since we lost to Atletico was the last league loss we had, isn't it?
Yes, the two
And
on my birthday. Yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake!
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I still remember that stream because I was doing it with Jonas, and I remember this scored late. And look, I'm gonna be very honest, man. That I thought we basically lost the league that day, but man, we recovered quick. Bro. That was December. We have not lost a league game in 2025.
Period.
Like this is the thing, man. I mean, hopefully we don't jinx it and lose this weekend. I mean,
who cares? I mean, we already won the league. I think people saying I see some people say, "Oh, let's win the last two games so we can, make the point difference bigger from Madrid." For me, I don't really care. It's all about the players today. Were drinking beer and celebrating. I think we're probably gonna I don't think we'll win the next two games. I can see maybe a draw this Sunday. Then MMS, you can forget about it. So yeah, I'm not bothered. Of course, the record will say we would lose more, but we know that based on
who cares, man. Bro, I've said it before. My watch alongs for the next few weeks, I'm calling it a vibe along because that's all I'm doing.
I'm not even doing watch along. That's how vibing I am.
I'm not gonna lie. I've said it. Even I said on my stream. I said, guys, I'm gonna be very real, man. Because weekends I'm very busy. I got a double shift work. If I'm too tired to stream, guys, don't be surprised if you don't see a watch along, but you will see a match reaction.
I got plans this weekend, so I'm just gonna watch it again my phone, and I'm not gonna bother. I'll do a match review, obviously, and then Bilbao. We'll see if I'm feeling it or not. But yeah, it's just about vibes now at this point. So doesn't really matter.
Listen, man. And that's why I wanted us to win the league yesterday. I was like, you know what, just win the league and so that we can just rest, man.
Because Sunday's gonna be more partying the same as did before. We're gonna of course lift the title. The title that you see here on the bus is not even the one from this season. That's the one from like another time where the club just kind of put something temporary. We haven't gotten the league title yet from the federation. We'll get it on Sunday, of course, lifted in front of our fans. We'll see what kind of team Flick picks as well.
But don't matter. Bro, listen. I've said it before.
We'll see some of the squad players, especially the players that are going to leave. At least give them one more game.
Give. You know what it is. Show the scouts, because at the end of the day, if we're trying to sell these guys, we need to
bag a hat trick. Ansu, Pau Victor, Pablo Torre, Joan Martin, Victor Ford.
Ter Stegen, man. I've said it. Ter Stegen probably will start the next two games.
Yeah, he probably will, honestly.
Don't matter, man. Like, he's one of those guys. He's another one that needs to go. Because I'm a very honest. I tried to support this brother, man. But brother, you are finished, man. I'm sorry, you are finished. But yeah, big up to Ravi, man. Ravi's actually asking us a question. He says, where in the season did you feel like, I was this season where you felt like we're gonna win the league? Well, like, what moment for you did you look at? You're like, this is our season to lose.
When we beat Atletico 4-2, when we were down 2-0, 70th minute, we came back. I said, we're not balling this. Even the 3-1 comeback against Celta was just more confirmation. Just like, we're just not going to lose this league title. And I think at that point we were, 1 or 2 points clear of Madrid. We didn't have like a cushion at that point, but of course we kind of killed Atletico's hopes as well. Look at what they've done in the league since then. I don't think they've won more than
they gave up after that, didn't they?
Definitely that 4-2 comeback where I'm like, I think we're going to win this league. I was for certain we're going to win it.
I mean, for me, maybe probably then, because if you look at how that game went, right? We were 2-0 down. We took it from 2-0 down. Like, bro, we conceded like in the 7th minute 2-0, and we literally scored like after kickoff, and then like 5 minutes later, Ferran Torres made it 2-2. And before the end of the final whistle, it was 3-2. Like, it was incredible, man. It was an amazing game. And look, I think I would say around that time, I was beginning to believe, because there was a point where I was like, man, I don't know. These guys are at our backs, and I don't know. This team is hot and cold, right? But around that moment where I was like, you know what? There's something about that game that, I saw. I was like, I didn't see this at the start of the season. I didn't see this when we were like in the first half of the season when we were down a goal, right? The mentality of the players going. There was something about how we came from a 2-goal deficit with 15 minutes to go and score 4 goals in 15 minutes. You understand what I'm saying? That is special. That is absolutely special. And look, it's incredible, man. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's like, bro, when I really look at like everything that's happened this season, right? And we're gonna get into all of that because there's a lot more that we need to get into, right? But there's this question actually Rav is asking here. It's kind of what I was gonna ask you, right? What players do you think have improved? Because let's be real, there has been so many players who've improved this season.
Yeah.
Like, who for you has improved the most? Like, out of everyone.
Like I said at the beginning, I think everyone underperformed last season so much that everyone looked like they improved from this season. The three that I'm thinking of is firstly Rafinha. I think his output is just ridiculous. I think he could have gotten these numbers last season. This is before that. He was just so bad in the final third. I would say Lamine as well. I know he became a starter like last January under Xavi, but he wasn't scoring and assisting like he was doing now. I think he's at like 43, 45 GA, which is fucking nuts as well. And then also someone says here in the chat as well, Eric Garcia. Those are the three for me that I think that really took that step above. We knew how good Kobarsi was. Pedri, quite surprised at Casado, but we already knew his ability. We knew that Olmo's going to cook. We knew that Alua is an elite striker. We knew that Koundé is one of the best 1v1, probably the best 1v1 defender in the world. We knew that Balde had the talent. Just last season he was just injured basically the whole entire season. So them three for me. I was surprised a little bit by more so Flick's trust in Casado than Casado's actual ability. But I watched a lot of Barça Athletic last season, so I knew how good he was. So I'd probably say Rafa, Lamine, and Eric Garcia.
I mean, so I would say for me, Rafinha is like the most obvious one because look, let's be honest, right? I'm not saying Rafinha has been a bum since he's arrived at Barcelona. I wouldn't say that, but I feel like one thing that was missing, and look, even this season, even though he's been cooking, I feel like in the last few weeks, especially in the second half of the season, we've seen like the old Rafinha's decision making, right? That was his biggest enemy, like his decision making, when to pass, when to shoot. You understand what I'm saying? That was something he was struggling with. This season, I felt like there was something different. Like he knew when to cross, when to pass, when to shoot, right? That's why his GA was incredible. Like he was getting goals and assists every game, right? In the second half of the season, I've seen a little bit of the old Rafinha where I feel like he's not, like his decision making is very, very poor. He's getting a little bit frustrating. You understand what I'm saying, right? But man, listen, the guy has over 50 GA. Like there's absolutely no way, man. You feel me? Like it has to be him, right? If you were gonna ask, a close second for me would probably be Inigo, because let's be real, right? I would say like Inigo is not just. I remember a few days ago I was on another stream and someone was asking me this season, right? Like, who was the most improved player and underrated? And I wanted to put improved player Inigo, but I realized I was like, well, here's the thing. I don't think a lot of people expected anything from Inigo, right? So you could put him in improved, but I put him more underrated because what this brother has been able to offer. Let's remember where he was at the start of the season to where he is now. When we started the season, Hafed, we didn't trust Inigo. There was no Barca fan that trusted Inigo. We thought this guy was going to leave in the moment the transfer window started. You understand what I'm saying, right? And the fact that for most of the season, it's been him and Kubashi, and he's been working as the leader of that defense, like the experienced man, right? And he's absolutely been cooking. Like I said it, like he was offered a new contract in January, or I think it was over February, right? I was like, you know what? He deserves it. I mean, if you look at what he's done, right? He's proven that he can be reliable. He's not gonna be, he's not gonna complain. He's never complained. He's not gonna be complaining, right? Right? I think that, he's definitely someone that I would like to keep. But there's another player, right? And I saw you on Twitter. You were actually praising him. And you know what I think of this guy, right? Christensen. You remember in January, we were talking about how we thought he was going to leave. And at the time, I was saying he's going to leave because of his injury problems. But truth be told, I don't want to get rid of this guy because he is Mr. Consistent. Look at him in the last 2 games, 3 games he's played, right? He's literally come back from injury. There's been no rust, right? I haven't seen any rust. He's making his tackle, the timing of his tackles are absolutely elite. Like, this guy is incredible. I'm sorry. I've said it before. I'm like, bro, at this point, I don't even care about Jonathan Tah, bro. Because if Christensen can stay fit next season, bro, nah, man, I'm good. Keep Christensen. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because you look at Araujo, man. Like, this brother, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know about you, Hafe, but I'm just at the point now where I'm like, I've kind of given up on this brother, man. I really have, because let me tell you why I am giving up, right? It's because I've seen him have these moments where I'm like, yeah, listen, man, he's coming back from injury, decision making, all of this, all of that. But brother, there's something wrong about it. I think it's more of in here. You understand what I'm saying? There's something wrong with this guy in here. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like ever since that PSG game, there's something that has changed in Araujo. You understand what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't know if you see what I'm saying. Like, do you see the pattern? Because there's something seriously wrong with this guy. Because he wasn't like this before that PSG game, right? I would arguably say that he was always to consider, like, he barely made mistakes, right? There was a reason why people were praising Araujo and calling him one of the best center backs in the world around that time. You understand what I'm saying, right? And in that PSG game, he's never been the same after that. The criticism, I don't know if it got to his head. I don't know what the issue is. What do you think about Araujo, right, this season and what's happened to him? The down.
I don't think it's really a downfall. I think, of course, the injury didn't help him being out for the first half of the season, but I really did like his role the second half of the season, where he's just kind of been coming off the bench, coming in games where it's kind of been dead rubber rotation. And the issue is that teams now know his weakness, and they kind of found him out, and that's, of course, his range of passing, so to speak, for a Barca player is just not up to scratch whatsoever. We've kind of given him the benefit of the doubt in moments, like, oh, he'll improve, but it's been too long now to say that there is going to be any drastic improvement at this point. So I think he's an elite defender. I think aerially on the ground as well. I think he has some moments in some games where he can play. I think as a starter, I think that window is out the door. But like I mentioned, I think in the games where he has come in, I think he's been okay, apart from the Inter game. But remember that Inter game, we all wanted him to start at right back. Everyone was screaming for him to come on as well. So I know he made the mistakes and stuff, but he's still a really, really good defender in the sense of his body type. His traits are all what you need for a perfect defender. But he just has a mistake in him here and there. So not one where I would say, like, oh, I'm going to push him out the door or stuff. But if someone activates the release clause, I wouldn't stop him.
No, I mean, look, that's where I am with him. I'm not even saying, yo, get rid of this guy. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that, you know what it is? I feel like it was that game for me against Inter where I was like, you know what? If the right offer comes in for him, I'll sell. Like, because I was one of the people, you know this. You remember when we did the Coolest Culture show that week before the second leg? I remember I was saying, start Araujo in the game because we need his physicality. So when he performed the way he did coming off the bench, it really, like, I was like, man, I really tried to believe in you, man. I really tried to believe in you. But you were making yourself indispensable. You're basically making yourself dispensable in the squad. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because you were one of those who were untouchable at some point, right? But now you're looking really you're really looking like you can be replaced, especially when you look at the way Christensen is returning, right? Look at the amount of center backs we have now, Hafed. That's the thing. We have a lot of good. The fact that Inigo now is playing well, he's basically proven now he's put Araujo down the pecking order. You understand what I'm saying, right? Kobashi, you just mentioned it, right? Look, Kobashi, maybe you and I, we have different opinions on Kobashi. Now, I'm not saying Kobashi has been terrible. You understand what I'm saying, right? But I think that you can see his age showing. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because he's a player with so much potential, and I still believe that he is the jewel in our center back. You understand what I'm saying, right? I still believe it because I've seen enough of him to know what he can do. But you can see that he's still an error-prone defender, and that's not even on him. Like I said, it's more of the fact that I feel like he's young and inexperienced. I feel like some tackles that he makes that looks great on the eye when you see it real time, it's kind of late. You understand what I'm saying, right? And those are things I feel like you get better at the more you play the game. You understand what I'm saying? The more experience that you have, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like we put too much trust in this kid. Whereas I'm like, we have to take our time with him. You understand what I'm saying, right? Give him some game time. Give him a lot of game time, right? But we shouldn't really be always trusting him more than like many of the other center backs that we have, like Christensen. You understand what I'm saying, right? When they're fit. I believe that those people should be the ones doing most of the starting. And then we can slowly ease, Kobashi in that team until he finally shows, a connection with maybe one of those or two of those center backs where we can be like, cool, this will be our center back partnership for the future. You understand what I'm saying, right? But this season was different because you mentioned it. Only Kobashi and Inigo were fit at the start of the season. You understand what I'm saying, right? So we had no choice, right? So that's where I kind of stand with Kobashi. But you're one of those people, you've given a lot of praises to this kid, right? You really believe in him, right? But I just think we need to protect him. You understand what I'm saying, right? Not to always throw him in the lion's den all the time, because he's shown that he can make mistakes in games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you for sure. But I still think that for his age, it's only going to be up from here. Hopefully, right? I think his on the ball presence, early holding the line, his passing is out of this world as well. I think I'd probably say he's a better all around defender for Barcelona than Araujo is. So,
100%. I think that he's definitely obviously, Araujo just had more experience, but that's really it. When you look at both center backs, you can clearly tell that Kobashi is the one with the highest ceiling. Like anyone, people like to say whatever they want to say about Kobashi, but I've said about Kobashi. For me, people think that maybe I don't like him. I've said it before. I have nothing, bro. I don't hate any of our players. You understand what I'm saying, right? I have no hatred for any of my players, right? And sometimes, for me, Kobashi, I look at Kobashi like I look at a brother. You understand what I'm saying, right? Sometimes when you have a brother that you love, you have to be critical. You have to, because you care, you're always going to want them to do better. You always want them to be better. You understand what I'm saying? You don't always want to throw them in the fire. You understand what I'm saying, right? And that's, for me, how I look at Kobashi. I'm like, I see so much potential in you. I don't want you to be mentally broken by this pressure, because you're still young, right? But yeah, listen. Another thing I want to talk about is another news that's actually come out. I think was Laporta even announced it himself during the celebration. He plans on running again in the Barcelona presidential seat. Now, am I correct in saying that he's got your vote?
I mean, quite obviously, yes.
Listen, before we actually get into that, now, I'm not gonna lie. This brother is an absolute G. Like, say whatever you want about him. People like to talk shit. We've seen it. Oh, look at the way he dealt with the messy situation. Look at what all of these economic levers that he's been doing. Look at the way he treated Xavi. All right, listen, man. Some of you guys, some people, they have short memories. That's the problem, Hafed. Some people have short memories. People don't understand, bro, the pain that some of us had to go through. I'm still having PTSD, man. He's been gone for 5 years and I still feel like he's here, man. You understand what I'm saying, right? People need to understand there was the level of bad that we were when Bartomeu and Rosell were here. And I'm going to put Rosell there. People don't give this Rosell guy enough criticism. That guy was a prick as well. You understand what I'm saying, right? He also deserves smoke. Because people always put all the pressure on Bartomeu. He deserves smoke as well. But Bartomeu, right, was always built up. And that's why I feel like people don't understand how bad it was. People only remember 2020. And people think that 2020 is where people really started turning on Bartomeu. Bro, I've been a Bartomeu hater since probably, I think, 2016, 2017. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because I'm someone who reads Barca news all the time.
I have to say, for the record, I did hype him up when he got the Frankie De Jong deal done. But apart from that, he's been shit.
Not me. I promise you. I promise.
I felt robbed like Bartomeu traveling to Amsterdam, getting the deal. Because remember, Frankie De Jong was like the hottest topic, the hottest deal in the world at that point. And he, PSG had it done. They're about to sign it. Then he flew over and convinced it. I was like, I fell for the hype there a little bit. I was more hyped about
Yeah.
Frankie than Bartomeu, but just the fact he went there and
Yeah.
they were all like, "Oh, done Bartomeu." But apart from that, he was shit before that, shit after that.
I mean, 100%. Like, bro, this is my point. Like, for me, it was kind of the way we're just splashing. Like, this is the thing, man. It's so easy for people, fans, to be like, oh, we're putting 100 million on this guy, 200, 150, all of this stuff. Bro, I don't care about that. See, here's the thing with me, Hafed, right? Being a Barcelona fan since the early the mid 2000s, right? I remember Laporta's first reign perfectly well. You understand what understand what I mean, right? The most important thing that I felt like Barcelona's identity was around that time was that we had a strong trust in our La Masia, right? We had a strong trust in our youth, but also we blended our youth with experience in certain players. Like if you remember, in when I started watching football, right? Eto, we got Eto when I was watching Barcelona. Eto was just he was there. He was Eto Ronaldinho around that time, right? We had like players like Juli, Belletti. You understand what I'm saying, right? And then we blended it with youngsters like Iniesta, yeah, right. Lionel Messi, Busquets a few years later when Pep arrived. You understand? Pep came in. You understand what I'm saying, right? We had guys like Rijkaard who, listen, whatever you think of Rijkaard, the guy did his job. He did what he came, he did his thing, right? Nobody believed in him, but he came in, he did a relatively okay job. He kind of, for me, built what Barcelona would go on to become. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because a lot of the players that were there, a lot of the players that Pep Guardiola has, as much credit as Pep Guardiola is given, which he deserves, right? I feel like Rijkaard has a hand in like a lot of the experienced players that Pep ended up taking over. You understand what I'm saying, right? Like the Xavis and Iniestas and all those guys, he gave them an opportunity so that those guys could become the players that they became under Pep. You understand what I'm saying, right? But just going back to the Bartomeu point, the Bartomeu thing, right? For me, in 2017, when we lost Neymar, the way he was so obsessed with trying to build this next front three is where I was like, this guy is going to end up messing us up. Because he ended up spending all that money on Ousmane Dembele, which at the time, Dembele was a great youngster, but 100 million for a guy who only had one good season. You understand what I'm saying, right? Whereas you could have taken your time. Like if we had been smart with that 222 million we got from Neymar, we could have built a very, very good team. We could have bought a lot of good players that season, right? And we had a prime Messi still there. We still had Suarez banging in goals. So we didn't need another front three. We already had two top players, top goal scorers in the team. You understand what I'm saying? But it shows you the obsession that this brother had in that he was trying to do a combination of Dembele, Messi, and Suarez. And then he tried to do Coutinho, Messi, and Suarez. Then he tried the Griezmann, Messi, and Suarez. Bro, this guy was trying all kinds of things. You understand what I'm saying, right? And then it combined to what happened in 2020. And in 2020, we were basically in the mud. This man, and this is the lack of self-awareness, bro. This brother basically screwed us over and just sat there and pretended like, what did I do? Like, I don't know why people hate me so much. Absolute disgrace, right? And then you look at Laporta coming in. He walks into this mess. He walks in and sees the Barcelona basically €1 billion in debt, right? So now that is what he has to fix. He first of all has to fix that, then fix this team because the team is basically falling apart, right? And he has to do both of these things at the same time. We end up losing Messi, right? We end up being because we're so financially a mess, we can't even go out and actually maybe buy players who can actually help the team. We have to rely on loans, free transfers, and all this stuff. And this brother, in what, 2 years? 2 years, right? We went from being a team where our future looked like it was far away. Within 2 years, he won the league, right? The squad we had in 2022, we brought players like Koundé. No one expected us to buy a player like Koundé. We brought in Lewandowski. Lewandowski was still the best striker in the world when we signed him. We brought in Rafinha, Frank Kessié. And I'm like, and people were like, bro, how is Barcelona able to attract these players? I thought Barcelona were broke. But this brother found a way, right? And you look at where this team is now. Bro, this guy's been here now 4.5 years, and we've gone from being basically in the pits to potentially now going back to being one of the best teams in Europe. And the biggest credit I'll give Laporta is because this is not the first time he's done this. See, I'm a football historian, as you know, bro. I like reading about football history. I know Laporta's first reign, what he had to go through. You understand what I'm saying? People think this is the first time Barcelona have been through financial struggle, Hafed. In the early 2000s, when we lost Figo, do you remember who the president was? Who was the president? Gaspar,
yeah.
Gaspar went out because he was paranoid, because basically Real Madrid had just stolen our best player from our noses. He became paranoid and he started giving all these players ridiculous contracts with crazy buyout clauses, right? And buying a lot of duds. As a result, by the time Joseph Nunez resigned, we were basically in financial debt. Guess who had to take over from Gaspar? Laporta. Laporta came in, brought in Frank Rijkaard when he got Sparta Rotterdam relegated. People say, oh, what is he doing? Why is he hiring this terrible manager? Well, it worked. He brought in Ronaldinho. He brought in Samuel Eto'o. Within 2 years or 3 years of being in president, we had won a league and a Champions League.
Yeah.
Look at the team when he left in 2010. He left in 2010. Barca boy. He left in 2010. In 2010, where were Barcelona?
On top of the world.
And once again, he returns when we were in the pits, and now he's basically trying to get us back to where we need to be. So for me, look, say whatever you want about the way he treated Messi and all these guys. I don't blame the Messi thing on him. I'm sorry. As much as maybe I felt like maybe he should have there were a few things he didn't.
Really know a smart Barca fan, or if you know you're stupid. You ask someone, you blame Laporta for Messi leaving? They say yes, they're an idiot. If they're no, they've got some sense to them.
100%. 100%. You said you said it perfectly well. You see me, yeah. I look at it this way, Hafed. I am someone that likes to read. This is why I decided to become a content creator, because I can actually do Barca news and actually talk about things that many Barcelona fans are too lazy to actually go and read about. You understand what I'm saying, right? I've said it before. I think that some of the things that maybe Laporta might have said to Messi, if he knew that there were some things he couldn't do, he should have just been like, well, listen, man, we want you to stay, but it's going to be very, very hard. You understand what I'm saying, right? But maybe, he wasn't always transparent with Messi, and that's why maybe their relationship ended up breaking down the way it did.
Maybe,
right? But I don't blame, but I feel like with Messi, even if he feels that he feels hurt about the way maybe Laporta maybe he felt like maybe Laporta lied to him, he should have understood, bro. Laporta, if it was up to Laporta, I'm sure he would have given you a contract. You understand what I'm saying, right? But it wasn't up to him. He walked into this mess. You understand what I'm saying, right? The Xavi thing. Look, at the end of the day, we couldn't go looking at the season now and looking at our financial struggles and how we basically we lost almost due to deregistration and had to register him. Now we're seeing why we couldn't go in the transfer window and actually buy players.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying, right? And he got rid of Xavi and brought in a manager who won us a domestic treble. So what can we say as Barcelona fans, guys? There's nothing we can say. So for me, he has my 100% backing. You understand what I'm saying, right? Because look, he's clearly shown he's a genius. He's clearly shown he's a genius, and also, because I've been waffling for a while, I'm gonna let you say what you do.
No, that's all good, all good.
The last thing I'm gonna say is this: not only has he had to deal with all this stuff, let's remember he's had to do all this stuff with La Liga basically putting all that pressure on him. You understand what I'm saying? But Hafed, man, you continue, man. You talk to me about Laporta, man, and why you are such a staunch Laporta supporter, and
I mean, he just does everything right. It's kind of hard to go against him. He's someone that does everything for the greater good of the club. He does things in the right model and style of the club as well, with the associates, the members, having the final say, having the final vote. I think in 2021, when he came in, apart from the way he handled the situation, the way he handled Xavi's sacking, and the renewal that he gave to Alonso, that he approved it. Of course, Xavi wanted it, but he approved it. So of those three things, his situations, not even entirely his fault, I think he's been flawless. with the signings, the running of the club, the deals he's been able to secure as well, getting the Espai Barça project underway, the Spotify deal. Can we not highlight how impactful, how huge this Spotify deal is? The greatest sports collaboration I have seen in any sport. Maybe there's some out there for more money. I don't know, but I don't care. I think we got a lot of money from Spotify as well, but the collaboration is absolutely astounding. Yes, they have naming rights and shirt rights everywhere. You see the Spotify logo everywhere. But the way we, handle with the artists and get collaborations on kits when the artist gets involved as well, being able to use their music, and it's an absolutely unbelievable sponsorship. It's the best in football without a shadow of a doubt. And I think it's the best in modern history for sure. And that, and dealing with everything they has to deal with people attacking Barcelona. I remember when Barcelona are on top, they always try to attack us. Then they get a case I don't think you mentioned that maybe slipped your mind. Dealing with that for a good year to have for the past year, where what's happened with that is because there's nothing in it. Everything he's dealt with. I mean, I would love to just give him a hug, man. Like, honestly, like the stuff that he's done, what he's been through, he deserves full credit. If he wants to continue, I was more scared that he was not going to run again. I thought he's gonna, 4 years of hell. I've done what I can. I need a break. Kind of like with Pep and Luis Enrique. I thought he was gonna do that, but thankfully, alhamdulillah, he wants to run again, which is huge, and he can stay a lot until PK is ready to take over. He can stay as long as he wants. For being honest, once PK needs some, I think PK needs some time to get ready. He's trying to bring up the Kings League. Then he'll probably take a year off to chill. Laporta still got some years left in them, miles of it. I think Laporta will be on the phone with PK. Yo, I'm wrapping up, man. Lock in and get ready, because I don't want anyone else after Laporta apart from Jimmy.
I mean, let's be real, man. The fact that we even lost him in the first place in that first run, let's be real, that was all kinds of corruption. Can we just call it out for what it is? Many people are too young to remember, but I remember, man. Rosell and what's his name, Bartomeu, man. You see, there's a reason why these brothers, one of them went to prison and the other one is in court right now, bro. Because these guys are fucking criminals. You understand what I'm saying, right? These guys have been crooks since back in the day, bro. You understand what I'm saying, right? They tried to, because remember, this is why he resigned. This is why he left the role. Because they were accusing him of some corruption and stuff, and they put all that pressure on him, the Soshis, because some Roselle were in the ear. You understand what I'm saying, right? So in the end, he ended up, deciding to, he didn't want the chaos, because at the time Barca were actually good. You understand what I'm saying, right? So he felt like maybe him being there was just gonna cause chaos. So he left. And then you look at what happened when Roselle came in. This brother arrived. He became president. Like, look at the first thing. It was when the first thing he did is what made me realize, this brother, he's actually not good for the club. First thing he did, because remember at the time we had a deal with UNICEF, where we weren't even getting money from UNICEF. We were donating to UNICEF every year. You understand what I'm saying, right? And it was a collaboration with UNICEF. He ended up canceling that. That was the first things he did. And then he went and did the sponsorship with Qatar Airways. If you remember at the time, we didn't have sponsorship for almost how many years? It was almost close to like a decade or two, right? He changed that. And it's ironic how he became president within 4 years? Within 4 years, he was already in prison, because he got sent to prison in 2014. For what? Fraud. And then you look at Bartomeu. Look what's happening with Bartomeu now. Look what's happening to him. Like, this is my point. At the end of the day, Laporta is a G. And look, let's be honest, man. The pressure that you just mentioned that La Liga have put him through, the Negra case, that's a perfect example, right? With everything that's happened with that, the way he's been able to deal with it, right? He hasn't let it deter him. He hasn't let it get into his head. You understand what I'm saying? Do you remember what these brothers started to do to us in the semifinals of the Copa del Rey? Right before the game, these guys went and posted this everywhere to basically deter us from the game, mess up our mindset. And guess what? He said, yo, these guys said they did this now. They thought they were going to do it. Guess what? We won the game 1-0. We were in the final. And he said, yo, we will fight this. We don't care. We will fight this. And it's funny, isn't it? Ever since that day, Hafed, have you heard anything? Because you be reading the news. Have you heard anything? Because I haven't. I've been following the news. I have not heard a thing. It's as if these guys were trying to distract us. It's as if. But yeah, once again, Laporta dealt with that. And you mentioned it. People talk about like, you know what? That's one thing people, football fans, mock us, the economic levers. Well, here's the thing, guys. If your club ever gets to a point where you guys have dealt with financial situations, let's see how you guys deal with it. Let's see how you guys deal with it.
One final thing that I want to mention on the Prezi is his transparency. Remember, 10 years at Barcelona, we got nothing from him. No press conference, no transparency. He just does stuff and says, yes, we did this because of this, that, and the other. Laporta, from the moment he came in, would upload videos on his Twitter, saying that I know you guys are hurting from the losses when we were, of course, we're crapping that first season without Messi, with Koeman and Xavi. We're going to do our best to bring Barca back on top. Every time something happens, he brings full transparency. He had a press conference the day after Messi left, a press conference the day after the Liga case situation came out, and provided full transparency and communication with the fans locally and the fans abroad as well. He's just an all-round world-class president, and I think no one comes close to what he can do for this club. That's why very, very important that he se queda.
He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible, and he's got my vote because look, people are gonna, people try to, bring up Hector Font. First of all, I don't know Hector Font at all. Okay, he might be a great president. I don't know, man, but you know what they always say, man. It's better the devil that you know than the devil you don't know. You understand what I'm saying, right? This is why I was always this is why I always supported Laporta. Since then, people were like, but Omar, you don't know how good Hector Font is going to be. I said, respectfully, guys, I don't know Hector Font. I know Laporta because I remember Laporta doing this before. So if anyone can deal with this situation, it's probably him. You understand what I'm saying, right? So
you think Victor Font would have gotten all these deals over the line? No one could have saved this club from where it was, apart from Joan Laporta. That's why it was huge for him to win initially, and that's why he should be continuing on. No one knows the club better to handle deals, handle agents, marketing, sponsorships, advertisement.
Thank you, guys. I call him Hector Font. I'm sorry, yeah, Victor Font.
So no one's at a better capacity to do it than him, and he has to kind of make the club perfect for PK to come take over too. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, there is nothing more we can say, man. Laporta, stick around, man. Listen, stick around for as long as you want. You can do a Florentino and stay for as long as you want, man. 100%, man. But look, man, we're probably gonna wrap it up from here, man. Big up to every single one of you guys who has been here. Make sure you guys smash the like button, guys. Make sure you guys smash the like button. But listen, there's actually one more thing I want to just ask you before we go. Right now, I know the season hasn't ended yet, but we only got 2 more games to go. So and the league has already been confirmed, so it doesn't really matter, right? Few things I want to ask you. Number one, right? These are the awards that we're going to be giving. And maybe I might do this award on the Coolest Culture Show with the other Barca content creators, but I'm going to do it here regardless.
Have you watched my season review videos before? I don't know if you've seen any of them. But
have you done a season review for the end of the season yet?
I've done it for like the past 4 or 5 that I've been on YouTube. And what I do is that I give a player rating for every player for the season based on they play. And I also do awards as well. I'll do like best under 23, best Spanish, best player, worst player, MIP. I do like best game, worst game of the season. So what I'm gonna do is, right, instead of saying it here, so I'm gonna, all you guys who are watching, make sure you guys go and subscribe to Barca Boy 103 if you guys want to see the full video, right? So I won't spoil it, right? But okay, so let me ask you this, right? Okay, so now that you've seen the season, right, I want to ask you, what positions? First of all, give me your 5 players that you've seen this season who you are happy to get rid of in the summer, and 5 players that you think we need to keep. 5 to get rid of. Joan Laporta, number 1.
I echo that.
Ansu, number 2. Pau Victor, number 3. And unfortunately, Pablo Torre, number 4. And probably, unfortunately, I have to say Hector Fort, just to make up 5. I don't think we need too many departures this summer. But I think the first 4 that I mentioned should be the 4 that are out the door. Of course, don't forget we got players coming back on loan, so we can get rid of them ASAP. But those are the 4 players.
Alex Valle, you mean?
Alex Valle, we sold him already to Como for $6 million. So that's already done. Yeah, him and Victor Roque are already done, which is good. Just really more so about Longley, Romeo as well, but I think Girona will definitely make it easy and keep him. I forgot someone in the chat. Great one. Inaki Pena. So I'll probably put Inaki Pena ahead of Hector Fort. So I'll say Inaki Pena.
This guy is still here, you know. I am not.
Inaki Pena, Gerard Martin. Inaki Pena, Gerard Martin, Ansor, like my Pau Victor. I think they're like locks to leave. Torre, I think if he's happy to be a squad player, I think Barcelona would love to keep him. I think he's just too good. I think the talent there is, immense. So I probably would hope that he'd leave. And then Hector Fort, I do rate. He can play both on the left